Across Western countries, churches have faced one of the most significant societal debates in modern history: LGBTQ+ rights. This isn't just about policy, it's about deeply held convictions, evolving understandings of faith, and the very definition of community. From policies and sermons to cultural conversations, the relationship between faith and inclusion is evolving, and it's shaping the way millions experience religion today. This is a story about change, conviction, and communities navigating uncharted territory, inviting us all to reflect on how faith traditions adapt to a changing world. For centuries, many Christian denominations in Western countries held conservative views on sexuality and marriage. These perspectives were deeply rooted in specific biblical interpretations and long-standing theological traditions. They often reflected the prevailing social norms of their eras, shaping family structures and community expectations. However, as societies evolved over the decades, particularly from the mid-20th century onwards, public opinion and legal protections for LGBTQ+ individuals grew significantly. Landmark events like the Stonewall Uprising in 1969 marked a turning point, igniting a powerful movement for civil rights and recognition. This societal shift created new challenges and conversations within churches, forcing religious communities to grapple with questions that previous generations never explicitly faced in the same way. The tension between traditional teachings and emerging social movements became increasingly apparent. Churches, once pillars of established social order, found themselves at a crossroads. They had to decide how to respond to a world that was increasingly affirming identities and relationships previously deemed outside the bounds of religious acceptance. This historical context is crucial for understanding the depth and complexity of today's discussions. Different denominations responded to these societal shifts in varied ways, reflecting their unique theological traditions and interpretive approaches. Some mainline Protestant churches, such as the Episcopal Church, the Presbyterian Church, USA, and the United Church of Christ, embraced inclusive policies. They began welcoming LGBTQ+ members into full participation, ordaining gay and lesbian ministers, and performing same-sex marriages. These denominations often emphasize themes of radical hospitality, social justice, and a re-examination of Scripture through lenses of love and compassion. Conversely, many conservative evangelical churches and the Roman Catholic Church largely maintained traditional teachings. They emphasized the authority of Scripture as historically understood and upheld long-held beliefs about marriage as exclusively between a man and a woman. While maintaining these theological stances, many also sought to provide pastoral care and demonstrate love to LGBTQ+ individuals, often navigating a delicate balance between doctrine and compassion. This approach often led to internal discussions about how to minister effectively without compromising core beliefs. Still others, like some Lutheran and Methodist denominations, found themselves deeply divided. These internal struggles often led to passionate debates at church conferences and synods, with advocates on both sides presenting compelling theological arguments. Congregations and entire denominations experienced painful splits, highlighting the profound disagreements over biblical interpretation, ethical responsibility, and the very nature of Christian community. These differences often sparked dialogue, both within congregations and across society, forcing believers to articulate what they truly believed and why, fostering a deeper, albeit sometimes difficult, understanding of their faith. The debate over LGBTQ+ rights has had profound social and cultural implications, reshaping the landscape of religious life in Western countries. In some communities, churches that embraced inclusion saw renewed energy and growth, particularly among younger generations. These individuals often sought faith communities that aligned with their values of justice, equality, and authentic belonging. For many LGBTQ+ individuals, finding an affirming spiritual home offered a profound sense of healing and integration of their faith and identity. However, in other contexts, divisions arose, leading to members leaving their lifelong churches or forming new congregations based on deeply held convictions. These church splits were often painful, tearing apart communities and families who had shared decades of worship and fellowship. The media frequently covered these major denominational debates, bringing them into national headlines and public discourse. This highlighted the significant impact these theological and ethical questions had on broader society. The conversation continues to influence how religion, law, and society interact across numerous domains, from marriage equality legislation to religious freedom protections, from university policies to workplace discrimination, and from family relationships to political coalitions. The Church's stance on LGBTQ+ issues reverberates widely. Sociological studies have consistently shown generational divides in religious communities, with younger adherents often holding more inclusive views than their elders. This ongoing dynamic underscores the complex interplay between faith, culture, and personal identity, inviting reflection on how deeply these issues touch individual lives and societal structures. Today, many Western churches are navigating a complex balance between tradition and inclusion, arriving at vastly different conclusions about what faithfulness requires. Progressive churches have developed programs supporting LGBTQ+ youth, offering inclusive worship services, and issuing public statements from church leaders that reflect an ongoing effort to reconcile faith with modern values. These efforts aim to create spaces where LGBTQ+ individuals can fully participate in leadership and ministry, finding affirmation for their whole selves within a faith context. Meanwhile, conservative churches continue to uphold traditional teachings while emphasizing love, dignity, and pastoral care for all individuals. Some within these traditions explore approaches like Side B Christianity, where gay Christians choose celibacy, seeking to reconcile their faith with their sexual orientation within a traditional framework. Church websites often provide clear statements on their positions, allowing individuals to find communities that align with their beliefs, fostering transparency and informed choice. Educational programs are emerging that teach about both traditional and progressive theological interpretations, encouraging a more nuanced understanding of the diverse perspectives within Christianity. Support groups for parents of LGBTQ+ children, campus ministries addressing these questions with college students, and even online churches creating virtual communities for LGBTQ+ Christians who cannot find local acceptance all demonstrate the ongoing evolution. While debates persist across and within denominations, dialogue and education are helping communities understand different perspectives. This fosters a deeper understanding, even when ultimate agreement remains elusive, highlighting the ongoing journey of faith in a pluralistic world. The theological questions at the heart of this debate are genuinely complex and deeply personal, touching upon core tenets of faith. How do we interpret Scripture in a modern context, considering its historical and cultural origins? What is the relationship between biblical authority and cultural change, especially when societal norms shift dramatically? How can churches uphold their faith while ensuring respect and dignity for all members, particularly those who have historically been marginalized? Scholars and pastors across the theological spectrum offer different answers, rooted in diverse interpretive methods, understandings of biblical authority, and theological traditions. Some emphasize the historical critical method, examining Scripture through its original context, while others prioritize traditional interpretations passed down through generations. Concepts like Imago Dei, the image of God, are central to discussions about human dignity and worth, prompting questions about how these apply to LGBTQ individuals. Pastoral theology grapples with how to care for all people while maintaining theological convictions, a challenge that requires both wisdom and compassion. Ethicists discuss dignity, rights, and religious freedom, exploring the boundaries and intersections of these crucial concepts. Quiet moments of prayer and discernment are common as believers seek wisdom and guidance on these profound issues. Experts argue that respectful discussion, careful listening, and ongoing education are essential for bridging gaps and fostering understanding. Even when ultimate agreement remains elusive, the commitment to thoughtful engagement and mutual respect is paramount for navigating these deeply personal and communal questions. As Western societies continue to evolve, churches will undoubtedly keep navigating change, with different communities reaching different conclusions about faithfulness and inclusion. The future of Western Christianity will likely feature diverse paths Highly inclusive churches, often thriving in urban progressive areas, will continue to embrace full LGBTQ+ participation. Simultaneously, traditional churches will maintain conservative theology, finding growth in certain demographics and regions that value continuity and established doctrine. New models of church community are also emerging, transcending previous categories and offering innovative ways for people to connect with faith. Younger generations of believers are navigating these questions with both progressive and conservative conclusions, demonstrating that the conversation is far from monolithic. The influence of global Christianity on Western churches is also growing, as different cultural contexts and theological perspectives interact, enriching and challenging existing viewpoints. Technology enables people to find communities matching their convictions regardless of geography, fostering both niche and broad connections. Continued theological scholarship will explore new interpretations while also reaffirming traditional ones, ensuring a vibrant intellectual engagement with these issues. The political and legal landscapes will also continue to evolve, further shaping the context in which churches operate. Ultimately, families and friendships will learn to maintain connection across theological differences, embodying a hope for dialogue even amid disagreement. The diverse congregations emerging today show that Christianity's future will include multiple approaches to these questions, reflecting the dynamic and multifaceted nature of faith itself. The outcome remains uncertain, but the conversation is far from over. So, folks, how do you see faith evolving in the 21st century? What role should churches play in addressing these profound questions of identity, belonging, and belief? Can communities with different convictions learn to coexist respectfully, finding common ground in shared humanity, even amidst theological divergence? We invite you to share your thoughtful perspectives. Comment below with your insights, experiences, and questions. Let's foster a space for respectful discussion and deeper understanding. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Scholar's Ledger for more deep dives into religion, culture, and history. Your engagement helps us continue these vital conversations.